Hello, Professor and fellow classmates. My name is Heather Abney, and I will be speaking on behalf of Leading Effective Teams. We will discuss the needs of a leader and meeting the needs of employees and how they delegate work within the organization. So let's get started. Here are the topics that we are going to be covering in the following: why we are here, what is leadership, what is servant leadership, situational leadership, effective communication, and leading effective teams. So, why are we here? Effective leadership rarely happens by accident. Rather, it is the result of relevant, proven skills that can be learned and applied by almost anyone in any organization who is trying to influence others. So, learning to be an effective leader benefits you, your people, and your organization now and in the future. So what is leadership? Leadership occurs whenever one person attempts to influence the behavior of an individual or group, regardless of the reason. It may be for one's own goals or for the goals of others, and these goals may or may not correspond with those within the organization. So why do we need leaders? Leaders are created because they are needed by others. This is someone who can motivate, inspire, and support others. One example of a leader might be a parent or a guardian to a child. They aid in teaching them how to live life and to be safe, and stay healthy. Another example of a leader is God. God helps us to identify, understand, and refine our purpose. We seek leaders to provide answers to our questions. So next, we will discuss what servant leadership is. Robert Greenleaf, who authored Servant Leadership, had spent 30 years as a senior executive in a Fortune 500 company. He devoted the last years of his career reflecting on and writing about leadership. He observed that those people who believed foremost in the concept of service, who were servant leaders, were also the most successful. I believe that being a Christian, all leadership should fall under servant leadership. We need to learn to be good followers before we can be good leaders. In the Bible, Matthew reminds us that whoever wants to become great among you must be your servant, and whoever wants to be first must be your slave, just as the Son of Man did not come to be served, but to serve, and to give his life as a ransom for many. So who is Nelson Mandela? What about Martin Luther King Jr.? We have all heard of Mother Teresa and Gandhi. So why do I bring these people up? They were servant leaders. Nelson Mandela stood before his people and told them that he was a humble servant. He had passion for his people and wanted to see them achieve equality. Sometimes that meant taking to the streets to demonstrate and put his personal well-being at risk. At other times, it meant surviving harsh conditions in prison so that his statements could be made. Through it all, Mandela proved that you can lead others by putting their needs first. The same could be said for Martin Luther King Jr. He didn't always want to be the leader of the U.S. Civil Rights Movement, but he knew there was the need for equality. By putting the needs of others first, he was able to leave a lasting legacy that proved anyone can make a difference if they are willing to have a humble, serving perspective. So in essence, leaders serve, leaders sacrifice, and most of all, leaders keep hope alive. Now that we have a foundation for what a great leader should look like, let's talk about situational leadership. When it comes to situational leadership, there is no one best way to influence people. The leadership style used on the individual or group depends on the task, specific performance readiness level of the person the leader is trying to influence. For example, let us first talk about task behavior. It is characterized by one-way communication from the leader to the follower with specific instructions. Some behaviors include telling people what to do, how to do it, and who is to do it. Now let's talk about relationship behavior. This is two-way communication where the leader and follower engage each other. Some behaviors include listening, facilitating, and offering support to others. No matter what behavior is used, without communication, the organization can crumble. So now that we've talked about relationship behaviors and task behaviors, let's move into effective communication. So effective communication within the organization is crucial in meeting the mission needs for success. Some forms of communication that you might be familiar with are verbal, nonverbal, written, and feedback. There are 3 communication models out there to assist leaders, potential leaders, in communicating effectively. The linear model is one-sided in that the leader does all the communicating. This form of communication can come in email, flyers, or signs. The next model is the interactional model, and it is just that. The leader and the follower interact in conversation. The follower has the opportunity to give feedback to the leader. This can be in the form of a telephone conversation or instant messaging. The last model is transactional communication model, in which the leader and follower are face-to-face communicating. This is an ongoing process between the two. Leaders need to understand that they cannot effectively communicate with members of the organization if the message they are sending is not understood. Once leaders have a grasp on effective communication, the next step is leading the team to attainable goals. Organizations that can match the right type of team to the right situation are positioned for high return on their investment, but are you clear about what you are leading? Leaders need to know what teams to use for the right job. There are different types of teams that exist. For example, there's problem-solving teams that attack the problem and then the team separates, while working teams do the daily work. Project teams work on specific projects, and virtual teams are not co-located, so they use various technical tools and platforms to exchange ideas and make decisions. So which one will you use? In order to run an effective team, we must learn to work well with others. So in summary, we talked about why we are here, what is leadership, what is servant leadership, situational leadership, effective communication, and learning how to lead an effective team. So stay abreast of changes that happen within the organization and be adaptable to learn. Going back to what was stated earlier, we need to be able to identify the problems and then work towards solving that problem through effective communication and effectively leading our teams. Every person is an individual, and individuals have needs. If he or she is not happy serving others or putting their subordinates' needs above their own, then he or she is probably not meant to be a servant leader, in my opinion.